Am I the a-hole for letting my pregnant daughter move in with me even though my girlfriend doesn't want her to? I, 40M, have an 18-year-old daughter with my ex-wife, call her Maddie. We divorced when she was 7, and I have her 3 weekends a month. Her mom moved to a suburb almost an hour outside the city to be closer to her family and for a better school. My work was in the city, and after a while, Maddie got sick of all the driving and asked if we could go to a different schedule. We talked most days on the phone, and I have been very involved in her life. She's a great student, graduated with over a 4.0, has a lot of friends, and what I thought, very nice boyfriend. She has no idea what she wants to do with her life and had already decided to defer her scholarship a year to take classes at the community college and work. I also have a girlfriend, Vera, 37, and she gets along with Maddie great. We've been together about 2 years, and she just moved into my house a few months ago. Her old roommate got married, and she couldn't afford rent alone. We'd been together almost 2 years and I was considering proposing, so it seemed like a good idea after she couldn't find another place. She pays the electric and water bills, but my house is paid off, so I just pay taxes, insurance, and the other utilities, and it's been great. I didn't really date much the past few years between Maddie and work, so it's nice having someone always around. Vera doesn't want kids of her own, and I don't want any more, so it's been great. So for all that, Maddie is pregnant, and her mom has kicked her out. Her boyfriend has another year left of nursing school and lives in a college apartment with roommates. She is, of course, staying here for now and found out late, she's due in January. She and her boyfriend went over the options and decided to keep the baby. She told me very meekly and asked if she could stay. I told her, of course. She knows this is disappointing, but she'll never stop being my baby, and if this is what's going to happen, I'm here to support her within reason. As in, I'm fine babysitting if she has work or class, and she will keep working and going to school, but I'm not babysitting for her to party or hang out with friends. If the boyfriend bails, which I was as kind as I could be but told her happens even with the nicest boys, she would need to file child support, and I would give her grace before and after birth, but when she's recovered, she will go back to doing chores on top of baby ones. I told her and the boyfriend to sleep on it, and they did. They came back with actual thoughtful responses, and even a budget goal that I found impressive. So, the tiny bedroom next to Maddie's that is currently home to a treadmill I never use is going to be a nursery. Of course, I've kept Vera in the loop during all of this, and by this I mean I don't know how many different ways I need to put this so it gets through people's heads. Vera and I discussed all of this before I talked to the kids. In depth. I made her very aware that the 3 of them could end up living here for a few years. She was supportive. I kept her in the loop. When them living here became the plan, she gave me an ultimatum and told me to kick my daughter out because she's an adult. I told her I wouldn't do that. She is still here and making everyone uncomfortable, and she seemed really understanding until I told her the plan. She got upset and said if she wanted to raise a baby she'd have one of her own. She said she didn't sign up for this and is not okay with it, and demanded I rescind the offer, that Maddie is 18 and needs to figure it out on her own if she wants to keep the baby. I told her I wouldn't do that. She'll always be my daughter and needs help. She threatened to move out if I didn't tell Maddie to get out, then got mad that I told her I understood. Now she's avoiding both of us, but still staying here, or being snippy. I don't know what she expects me to do, but it's making the entire house anxious. Stop saying that Vera would be shocked that Maddie moved in. This is Maddie's home. She's always lived here. Yes, the rest is a surprise, but not my daughter living in her home. Update 1, my last post got a little overwhelming. I'm still glad I did it. Reading the comments, I just got to the point where I was like, what am I doing? I asked Vera to talk, and she started. She actually did kind of apologize and said she was just stressed because she expected Maddie to either keep the same custody schedule or maybe a bit more, but not full-time and certainly not with a baby. And then she didn't think I'd actually let her live here with a baby. She said she'd be able to work with a compromise of Maddie and the boyfriend, let's call him Doug, getting their own place when he started working full-time, and they could promise to never ask her for help. I guess she thought as long as she had an end in sight, she would be able to handle it. I told her I understood, but her behavior was out of line, and I can't see us working out after this. She was upset and seemed shocked and got pretty mad. I told her she was welcome to stay in the basement, finished, walk out, with a kitchenette, for a month while she found a new place, and I'd pay her back for the bills she'd paid, $790, so I rounded up to $1,000. She wasn't happy about any of this and was freaking out, so I called and asked Maddie if she could stay with Doug for the night. I offered to give Vera some space, and she told me to fuck off. I was working from home that day, so I was around but not in her way at all while she moved her things downstairs. She had worked that night and let me know the next morning she'd be moving to her friend's place. I offered help, but again she said no and left her key on the counter. I changed the security code, but told her if she left anything there, just to let me know and I'd let her in to come and get it. So I thought there'd be no drama. I was actually obviously sad but felt better about the whole thing. We can't prove anything, but Maddie's carnivorous plant started rapidly dying the last few days, and she said a bunch of her concentrated fertilizer was gone. We all know not to touch them or water them. She had me install rain barrels because they can't have tap water. She's devastated and hasn't said it directly, but I think we both think Vera did something to them. I've asked her if she wants me to do anything about it, and she said no. At one point, Vera sent her a nasty text saying she's the reason I'm alone and she hopes she's happy. I told her to block her. I don't know if she feels guilty or like she deserves it. She doesn't even want me to replace them and said she'll just try to salvage some of them. So if anyone knows of good sites in the US to buy pictures or pings, hit me up. So, not great. I'm gonna stay single for a while, obviously. But there's some good news. I have a female friend who Maddie has known forever and has had kids, and she took her out to lunch. My issue was that Maddie thought she could power through and take courses in the spring with a newborn. She wouldn't listen to me and told me she'd make it work. My friend was able to convince her that one semester wasn't going to ruin her life, so that is a positive. And the boyfriend, Doug, I talked with his parents. They are like me, not thrilled but going to be supportive and excited for a grandbaby. They live over an hour away, though, but I told them I had a spare room they could use when they visit. And Doug, who does work part-time while he's in school, I told him yes, work this semester, but next semester your number one job is to finish your degree no matter what. I am willing to support them both financially, and with the baby more than I normally would, next semester because I know the best way to ensure my grandbaby has a good life is making sure their dad has his degree and a good job. He seemed to understand and was thankful. Maybe he's not as much of a ding-dong as I thought he was. Update 2. Hey everyone, I wanted to give one last update because nobody else in my life thinks this is as hilarious as I do. I'll put the update about my family first, so skip to the end if you don't care about all that. Recap, my 18-year-old daughter got pregnant, and her mom, my ex, kicked her out. She asked if she could live with me. She was already with me 3 weekends a month, and I live over an hour away from her mom at her old school. My girlfriend at the time, Vera, threw a fit about it for not asking her permission, and we broke up. This was a few months ago. So, for happy news, Maddie had a little boy last month, and we're all completely in love with him. She and the boyfriend ended up getting married a few months ago. When Doug asked, I told him, hey, you don't need to rush this, but he pointed out that having a baby is a much bigger commitment than getting married, and I couldn't argue with that. They are good parents. Honestly, they haven't really asked me for much help at all. Granted, she's not currently working or in school, and he's just in school. It's very weird seeing your baby love someone as much as you love them. Maddie had been on bed rest for some health issues and went into labor almost a month early, but she is completely fine now, and my grandson got out of the NICU 3 weeks ago. He decided to come at a pretty inopportune time, right before Doug's week of exams, and his 21st birthday, but I gotta hand it to him, he really powered through. Although at one point I had to remind him that man cannot live on Celsius alone. Luckily, Maddie was able to finish her semester a few weeks early due to the health issues and bed rest, and kept her straight A streak. She gave birth at the hospital that his school is associated with, and even though his instructors all came to see the baby, they didn't give him a break. Maddie encouraged him to at least get a few drinks with his friends for his birthday, which was also on the last day of exams and he'd planned on having it be a last hurrah, but he's a bit of a homebody, to be honest, and spent it with her and the baby. They ended up moving into the basement because Maddie gets anxiety and thought I would get annoyed at the baby crying. I told her that wouldn't happen, but agreed that them having their own space was best. My grandson is only a few weeks old, but I stand by my decision to support them. They have been amazing parents so far, and told me that they were going to try really hard not to lean on me for help with the baby since I'm helping them so much financially. That being said, I sometimes have to remind them that the price of living here is baby snuggles, and kidnap my grandson for a bit here and there. Obviously, I'm not stupid. Them not having external factors like rent or money to worry about is helping them a lot, and I know they appreciate it. Maddie wants to go back to work in a few weeks, just a few hours a week in the evenings, so we'll see. Doug says it's easy enough to study or play RuneScape while holding a baby and is fine with it, but I don't want her overdoing it. They know that him graduating is the most important thing. He has a job for when he graduates, so we just need to get over that finish line. Doug's parents are very involved as well. They also live a few hours away, so I told them that they were welcome to stay in Maddie's old room so they didn't have to do day visits. They're both immigrants but have green cards, so the situation is kind of scary, but I've gotten pretty close to them and think Maddie got very lucky with her in-laws. If only they'd stop bringing so much food when they visit. Had to make a new hole for my belt already. My ex-wife is still not handling this well. She's never liked Doug, but more importantly, she never wanted Maddie to grow up. We had gotten pregnant young, we were married, though, and she did kind of come around in the sense that she insisted on buying all of the baby's furniture. She still hasn't talked to Maddie and regularly calls me, Doug, and Doug's parents to tell us that we ruined her life, but she has also created a college savings account for the baby and done some other random acts of generosity. She's always been complicated, and there's a reason she's my ex-wife. A friend of mine threw Maddie a little shower, and I know she was upset that her mom didn't show up. And no, Maddie won't go no contact with her. She loves her mom, and I know my ex loves her, and she hopes one day they can reconcile. However, my ex has not met our grandson because Maddie refuses to let her unless she talks to her. I agree with this and support her. The funny update, after a few weeks/months of trying to hook up with my friends, I guess Vera ended up dating a guy we both knew from a mutual hobby. I don't know him well or anything, but he's always seemed like a decent guy. I don't talk to Vera but do follow the guy on Instagram, and they just posted that they're going to have a baby later this year. Which is hilarious because just a few months ago she, and honestly, some of you, was scolding me day and night because she said she was child-free. And in her mind, claiming that you're child-free is like a federally protected class and everyone needs to accommodate you. Until you change your mind, I guess. But, it's their life. He's a few years older than me, and the thought of becoming a first-time parent at my age sounds crazy, but who am I to judge? Final update, hey guys, it's been a few months, and I've had a few people reach out for updates. The exciting news is that my son-in-law, Doug, graduated and starts working soon. He still needs to pass the NCLEX next month, but that'll be easy for him. He's at the hospital where I used to work, so I know most of the people there and he's in good hands, and so are his patients. One of the charge nurses on his floor is actually an ex of mine, but we get along great still, unlike some other exes, and I think he'll do great. Now that he's making money, I was worried they'd start looking to move out soon. Don't get me wrong, I don't want them to still be living in my basement in 10 years or anything, but I have made it very clear that the best thing they can do while Maddie is in college is to save up, live here, and take advantage of how much Grandpa wants to spoil them. So they have agreed to be here until she graduates, and honestly, I don't mind it at all. Maddie has gotten more comfortable giving me the baby when she's overwhelmed. I think the things Vera had said to her made her self-conscious about taking advantage of me. But now I have ample time to ensure that Papa is my grandson's first word. I left my old job and am now consulting. It's more money and usually just 3 days a week, so between his parents, Doug working overnights, and me, Maddie is taking classes this summer and will be back on track in the fall. She says the baby will be going to the daycare at her school. But we'll see. Maybe for a day or two. She's so funny and has told everyone that my grandson will be their last baby. I remember when she was his age wanting like 10 more, so we'll see, but she can be pretty stubborn about those things. A few months ago, my ex finally broke down and apologized to Maddie. I know it meant a lot to her, but she kept her mom at arm's length for a while, and I told her I didn't blame her. But she finally introduced her and the baby on Mother's Day, which was very emotional for everyone. I wouldn't say their relationship is fixed fully, but it's on track. Because a lot of people asked, I asked Doug and didn't exactly understand what he said, but it seems like his RuneScape is going well. And Vera is still pregnant, but she and the guy broke up. I haven't talked to him about it since we aren't close friends or anything, but from what I hear, they're both doing fine. I'm not going to lie, it does feel like a bullet dodged, and I'm glad to be out of that mess. Looking back, I still feel bad about how everything went down, but can see it was for the best. I do have a new girlfriend, but it's only been a few weeks, and despite Maddie's demands, I haven't introduced her to anyone yet. But she's wonderful, has 2 kids of her own who are in college, and has never complained when I go rambling on about the baby.